Hello, Jaime from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today some gel plate backgrounds with the Donkey with an E stamp set and a couple more cards today. So I pulled in another one of those inky backgrounds, and I'm going to actually do two kind of like small little panels on this one instead of using it as a full panel. So I kind of picked the sentiments that we're going to work on this one because I need to cut it down. It's not going to be equal parts. It's going to be a little bit, I don't know, lopsided, I guess. So I kind of picked the two sentiments that I thought were going to work the best on my background piece here. That's going to give me a little bit more room to kind of have one bigger than the other. Now, I messed up. It happens, and I will show you why I messed up. So I'm going to stamp this with some VersaFine Blonde Onyx black ink here, and this is just my regular one, but it is on Distress Mixed Media Heavy Stock. And so it didn't, there's like a coating on it, not the right coating for liquid mediums like it used to be, but it didn't dry very fast. And so when I went to take it and put it in my guillotine trimmer here to cut, I smudged it. I didn't realize that it was still wet at this point, and yes, I totally, completely smudged it. It was still readable. I just was not impressed with it. I even tried, you know, kind of maybe sort of drying it there, air drying it, but it was already smudged. And so I was like, well, I still had the little pieces that I cut, so I kind of repositioned it in there. Now, keep in mind, it's not going to work as planned, right? So I'm kind of piecing it back together, hoping that I can get it to go exactly where it needs to be and re-ink it. So I knew I had a good possibility of it not landing where it needed to go. So I did treat it with some Tailored Expression anti-static powder. And then I'm going to restamp it with the VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'm bringing in a glitter. I think this is a holographic embossing powder. So it's clear, it's going to show the black through. I could have adjusted the color on this one, I guess, a little bit and gone with a solid or, you know, a non-glazed type of embossing powder, and I could have had a black drop shadow. I didn't know I was going to have a drop shadow, to be honest. But I ended up with a drop shadow here. I tried to slow it down so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it very well on film, but in real life you can see the matte black drop shadow and then that glittery, glossier sentiment on top. So once I did that, they looked well enough that I could salvage them. So I'm going to add on my two Eeyores here that I had colored in the other video, and then of course cut out with my brother's Scan and Cut, and I will add those on to my little mini panels here. So I'm going to take two card bases and I'm going to stamp the inside first. Why do you stamp the inside first? Well, if you mess up on the inside the first time, you just flip your card inside out, and your front panel where your sensor or where your image is going to go on the front can be now on underneath, you know, where your ink smudged hand stamp on the inside would have been. Yeah, it's you get two shots, right? That's what my nanny always says. You get two shots. So you do your sentiment on the inside first. So for the second one here, I went with a little consideration, a little thought for others makes all the difference. And then I'm bringing in that Eeyore stamp again. Now, this time I decided to do it on or with some of that Distress Oxide ink. Now, Distress Oxide isn't, and you didn't really see me spritz it, isn't the greatest for stamping. Well, I mean, it's the better of the two. But I did mist my block with my image with a little bit of water before I stamped it. So it kind of gave it a watercolored look. And it kind of ended up making it like a shadow where his tail was underneath him. I liked the look. That's how I achieved it with that Distress Oxide shaded lilac. Oh, it's shaded, not crushed, because, yeah, I said it wrong in the last video. And then I'm going to add in some more of those gel pressed backgrounds. And this one I just decided it needed a little bit more. So, of course, I'm just bringing in that brayer. and adding some more color around the outsides. Now I am going to bring in that double-sided foam adhesive sheet here, cutting it down just so it's a little bit smaller than my actual panel is. And then I will pop that onto the back of my panels here. It will help that to lay flat. And I do have a little bit of a white border all the way around this one, so it's going to pop it up off of that card base. And then I will pop that onto my card front. Maybe. That's why I put glue on top, so I have a little bit of wiggle room, because obviously lining up is not my strong suit. I did line it up fairly okay the second time, so I just trimmed off the bottom pieces here, because obviously I can't cut straight either. It is what it is. So now I'm just taking both of them and trying to decide which one I want where. Since my little mini panel here is so bright and bold, I thought it worked very well without having a second sheet on this one. So that muted more. The one that I did with the white acrylic paint kind of has more of, I don't know, it's just a softer panel, and so this one kind of sticks out a little bit more. I'm going to add just a couple of little embellishments here after I spill them inside of everything. Yeah, it was, I was having a day. What can we say, right? And so I picked up a bunch and put them on my desk, and then kind of picked and choose, you know, grabbed a bunch, added some. So we got some sparkle and shine onto our card. That purple is still too pinky to me, but I made it work. So for this one, I decided I wanted to do a drop shadow. Because I have the drop shadow on the sentiment on this one, I'm just coming in with the embossing, the distress bossing, I don't know, it's a dauber. So it's got distress bossing or embossing ink in dauber form. And then I'm just going to liberally apply some of this holographic embossing powder. So it's going to make that black paper have the same shimmer and shine to it as my sentiment. So it'll coordinate with it, and it was easier than me trying to find a black glitter cardstock that was going to look like my embossed sentiment on the other one. So I'm going to trim this down to size here. And then once I'm happy with that, I decided to bring in a scrap of that black and kind of give it a drop shadow as well. So I'm just going to kind of position that in there. And it's not going to be the same width as my other one because I want it to just have a drop shadow, so I don't want it to be fully and completely on there. And then I will glue this one on top. Now, I probably should have put this one on some foam adhesive sheet as well. It did not stick very well, so I do end up bringing in a nice weight to weigh it down and make it stick until the glue is dry here. I did not add any other embellishments to this one. I figured the glittery black worked well with this one and just had enough shimmer and shine. And there are my insides of those. So that is card 2 and 3 of this little mini gel print background series. Have a great day. Bye!